to the Once and Future Authors podcast. I'm Stephanie, and I'm so excited to be joined by author Roberta Samuels. We have two books we're going to be discussing today. You're going to hear about a little bit of a connection between them. French Lessons, One Woman's Tale of Sex, Wine, and House Renovation in La Belle, France, and also Vanished, a valuable African statue stolen in Southwest France. Well, you definitely see the connection with France. So please welcome author Roberta Samuels. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, I'm so excited to be here, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
Always so excited to chat with you about the books. And while Vanished was actually released first before French Lessons, I'm going to toss that over to you. Which one you want to chat about first? Because there's a little lead in from one to another as well. So,
well, that's true. That's true. Well,
French Lessons was actually written first, wasn't it?
French Lessons was written first, and it's kind of a memoir-esque novel. It took longer to get the illustrations ready and to whip it into shape. It's a longer book. And then I thought that the African mystery, the Vanished mystery, was exciting to release right away because it's very topical. It's about events that are going on right now in West Africa and the problems with migration from Africa to Europe.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. But I love that just for any future writers out there, the order that you write things is not necessarily going to be the order that they reach the finish line, shall we say. French Lessons had a little more work to be done on it, so Vanished kind of past it. But bring us back to French Lessons, just because that's kind of how you got your start in writing. But a little bit even before writing, tell us about you pre-writing, like your life and such. You have so many fascinating, fun things about you.
Well, my life has had a lot of different chapters,
Mm-hmm.
but the French and France has kind of been a thread that's run through it all. I was always very interested in traveling and very interested in foreign language, even as a girl, and my parents kind of indulged me in that. So as time went by, after spending my junior year at the Sorbonne at the University of Paris and being sent to Switzerland to spend the summers from time to time, I became fluent in French. And that interest kind of culminated in my leading tours to France. I didn't exactly lead the tours. I was the escort because I would hire guides, professional guides, to explain to my groups what was going on where we were. But I learned a lot that way, and I from as an outgrowth of the tours, I ended up buying a house in France. Actually two houses, but the first house was a huge adventure for me. I was recently divorced. It was very affordable to buy a house in one of these very rural areas of France, which attracted me. And I had many adventures there, working on the house and working on myself. And so that just seemed, I really enjoyed writing about that. And that's how I got started writing.
Love that. That's a great segue into a whole love affair with the French language, buying a house there, and now writing a series of books set in France.
Yes, I wanted to go on writing about France after I with the new partner I uncovered while I was renovating the house in France, who, by the way, wasn't French, he's American. But uh, we moved to a different town and to a different house. And I met so many new and interesting people in that town. I wanted to go on writing about my adventures in France, but the love story I felt I had kind of exhausted. So I went over to kind of a mystery series, uh, which got started because most of my books are based on some art historical artifact that I saw, or some museum experience that I had, and then I kind of embroider about that to make a to let my hero and heroine, who are the two lovers from the first book, uh, kind of get to the bottom of some skullduggery, or find something that's missing or something like that.
Love that. Well, while we're talking about art, I do have to mention that you're not just a writer, you are an artist. The cover here are French lessons, as well as the illustrations throughout French lessons are from your talented hand. Speaking as a person who could barely draw a straight line without a ruler, when did this art blossom? I love that you are a visual artist as well.
Oh, well, that again, boy, I don't seem to have changed much in all these years.
Well,
I
what kind of talent? Why change?
well, um anyway, yes, ever since high school, I have been painting and drawing, and it's as a kind of an avocation. I painted and exhibited. I've owned galleries in Sarasota, Florida, and also in the little town in France in Montpezat de Quercy, where I have shown my own work and other people's work. And it's I painted a lot in recently after moving to New York, at the Art Students League, until COVID kind of put the kibosh on that. So that's something that's another long-term love and interest of mine.
That's fabulous. And for those of us who cannot even paint a stick figure, super jealous of that one.
Well, uh, it's been, I think that all of this, the painting and the writing, it's so exciting to try and, kind of extend a little bit my personality and my viewpoint and my take on things, um, to other people, some of whom, might get a kick out of it.
Hmm. They are absolutely getting a kick out of it because they want to be able to do it.
Well, I've been very, very fortunate, that's for sure, to be able to express myself, the time and the inclination to express myself in these ways.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to read a little bit of the synopsis of Vanished because I have some questions, but I want to share the backstory so that our viewers would understand. That this book, Vanished, is the first installment in the Vanished mystery series, so we know there's going to be more. Featuring American couple Barbara and Sam in their French village. A mysterious nail-studded African statuette disappears from a local art exhibition at the same time that a young Senegalese migrant sets out on his hazardous journey to Europe through Al Qaeda infested Mali and Niger. Can Barbara and Sam help him to gain legal residency in France and also aid the beleaguered Ogoni tribe to benefit from a rich oil deposit discovered on their territory in the Niger River Delta? Based on factual events and historical data, Vanished, a valuable African statue stolen in southwest France, takes the reader on a hair raising odyssey from West Africa and Europe and a delightful holiday in France. These two very different trajectories are connected by an Akizi Congo figure endowed with magical powers of divination by its people. Along the way, the author touches with insight and feeling on hot button issues such as illegal migration, terrorist activity, and corruption in present day West Africa. Wow, you were not kidding that this is absolutely timely for sure. You weren't kidding about that with so much that is going on. But tell me a little bit about research, how you even came to know about these things. I mean, research is one thing, but the germ of an idea, yes, you love travel, you love France, you love art, but really, how did you come up with this storyline? This is just amazing. And like you said, so incredibly timely.
Well, it's really unexpected to me. In living in France a lot of the time, I saw a Nakisi Congo figure at for sale at it was a house sale actually in a nearby town to where I was living, and I was just fascinated by this statue. It had such incredible presence uh, that I was both attracted and repelled by it at the same time. And when I was thinking about the germ of an idea for a mystery story, that figure popped into my head as being very mysterious. And actually, I I've met many nice and uh, uh, such helpful, warm West Africans in France that I decided to try and write about what the it's made up the imaginary odyssey of a Senegalese young Senegalese man to France, and I wanted to have my character go through a little teeny part of Spain called Melilla, which is on the coast of West Africa. It seems like it's a part of Morocco, but it's really a part of Spain. So I discovered reading Le Monde really that Niger and Agadez, Niger, was the a big center. It's a small city, but a big center which pulls together a lot of the young migrants trying to get to Europe. And I also learned, I was very interested by the blue-faced people, the Tuareg tribe, who live in Mali and in between Senegal and this town called Agadez in Niger. Unfortunately, the Tuareg have been fighting with Al Qaeda. I really didn't realize myself how predominant Al Qaeda terrorist forces have become in that part of the world, supported partly by the Russians. My teeth almost dropped out when I read that the Wagner forces, the same ones who were fighting in Ukraine, were also involved in trying to take over the Tuareg in Mali. So anyway, it all just kind of grew like Topsy, to tell you the truth. My hero makes it through that part of the world and makes it, in fact, into Melilla, the part of Spain on the coast of Morocco, which is protected by many fences. And I had to connect all of this with my African statuette.
I just love hearing how a story comes together and how you learned a little bit about this and you were reading Le Monde and you found out about this and what, because so many people ask me, how do I get ideas? And I say, writers say, how do I stop the ideas from coming? It sounds like you have them coming fast and furious. That's for sure. I do want to share for anyone who is seeing this a little picture of what that statuette looks like, because you described it as a nail studded, and it is certainly quite the nail studded statuette with some unusual powers, it seems. So
Yes, yes, I did not. I learned also doing research for this that these nail-studded figures, there are many, many of them, and each nail that's nailed into them for the tribe, uh, mostly it's tribes in the Congo, in the Belgian Congo, and other parts of Africa. Each tribe represents either a vow, sealing of a vow, or an effort to find the truth in a criminal matter. Uh, Inside that, in the hollow part of that statue, which you showed the picture of, there would originally have been sacred relics that connect this statue with the higher powers of the ancestors and the other divinities. And many of the statuettes, which I like this very much, are in the shape of dogs, many of these Nikisi Congo figures, because dogs are very good at sniffing out the truth
mm,
and aren't so easily fooled by, they can kind of get to sense the goodness or lack of goodness in a person. They're protectors. So I just love African art, and I thought, and all kinds of African, I feel that African art is somewhat overlooked. And it was great for me to be able to feature some of the power and beauty of one of these statues in my book.
I think you're absolutely right. For far too long, Western art, European art, etc., has been seen as is kind of the penultimate, but African art, um, overlooked or just grouped together as African art, when in fact the continent of Africa is 5 times the size of the continent of Europe. So I'm sure that there are very big differences between West African art and things further in the South or the East, or et cetera, and so forth. So uh, you've
Oh,
learned
yes.
a lot.
It's a very complicated subject. So I just tried to talk about a little teeny part of it and get people maybe a little interested in seeing more.
I think that's fabulous. Not just for you to be able to share this so that people who are reading it, yes, it's a mystery, and everyone's favorite couple from France is out on this American couple from France out on this mystery tour, but actually learning about the political situations, the social situations, the art there. It's such an immersion kind of a thing going on that I'm sure you learned so much doing this research. Was there anything that you found out when you were doing your research for the book that was kind of shocking to you? Like maybe it even had, made you change what was going on or something. You said, I didn't see that one coming. Anything like that?
Well, yes, I learned about this. All this is quite true. The Ogoni tribe, where my fabulous oil deposit is located, actually exists. The Ogoni tribe, and there are actually fabulous oil deposits there, which have never benefited the tribe, who is very disadvantaged. All the peoples of that area are. And unfortunately, it's partly due to the fact that Africa is very corrupt. The political system is corrupt. The oil companies are not always fair to the people whose lands they profit from. So that was kind of eye-opening to me that such thing could happen to the Sogoni people.
Fabulous. When you set out to write this story, did you know how it was going to end, or did you know I want to have some sort of a mystery? Um, some piece of art is stolen. I'd love it to go center around Africa, and it just kind of developed. How did this work for you, or did you dream the whole thing as if you were watching a movie?
uh, I did not know how it was going to end. uh, I was a little bit inspired by series I watch on television.
Really, which one?
Actually, at the time, I was watching Beef, which has nothing to do with Africa, but it was very inventive.
Okay,
And the writers seemed to kind of let themselves go. So I decided to let myself go.
I love that. That's fantastic. Inspired in attitude, if not in storyline, was did you find letting yourself go uh freeing or a little nerve-wracking?
Um, no, it was freeing to say, well, my story can hop around. It can, tie together some very disparate ends, and my readers might just they might enjoy that.
I'm
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, and you enjoyed writing it, and the readers have been eating it up. uh I know when I read the synopsis that this is the first of the Vanished series. Can you give us a teensy clue about where we go next?
Well, where we go next is to Europe and to a modern artist called Sonia Delaunay, who was uh, lived a very long life. She and her husband discovered modern art along with Braque and Picasso and all the other Modigliani people living in Montmartre in the early teens of the 20th century. And in my town, in Sam and Barbara's little town, there's a famous church where Sonia, who was quite famous in the 1970s, was commissioned to make a decoration. But the decoration doesn't exist in reality. However, in my book, uh, good old Sam and Barbara, those naive and well-intentioned Americans, help along with their neighbors, in the town, uh, try hard to find what could have happened to that artwork, which would be great for the town, since it would bring tourism both to the medieval church and for the very modern artwork.
Fantastic. Well, you better watch out because these books start catching fire. And whether it's going to be small towns in France or governments in Africa, people are going to start saying, "Roberta, can you write a book about us so that you can shine a light on our industries, our situations? We want to spread the word and get some goodwill going. Maybe some
Wouldn't that be something?
wouldn't that be something? Absolutely. I would love that if we could improve the world politically, one fiction book at a time, just to get people to shine a little bit of a light on things. I would love that.
Well, it's true. My books are not, really hard nosed or hard biting. They are kind of, making the best of this beautiful world.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what I think so much that writing should be doing. Now that you have two books under your belt, and I know that there's more to come, just for the sake of our writers out there, is it getting easier to write? Is it getting harder? How are you finding yourself along this pathway, shall we say?
Well, it's true that I've changed venue. I've opened myself up to from just writing about a French connection. The French connection is getting more and more tenuous because it's such a big world out there. So I needed to change. I've lived a lot in Florida, and particularly in Sarasota, Florida, where there's a fantastic museum called the Ringling Museum, of the circus guy from Ringling Barnum and Bailey. It's his collection from the 1920s, and there's a Titian painting there. Anyway, it's all and then of course there's India and Sri Lanka,
Ah,
where there might be a fabulous jewel.
might be a fabulous jewel. So yes, you've lived every place from Florida, New York, France, India. Is there any place that is still on your bucket list? I mean, there's 196 countries. Is there any that you've missed that's still out there on your list?
You know, I would say no. What I'd like to do is go to places longer and in more depths and take my time. But that's really almost anywhere. I'd like to do that.
Maybe not North Korea, though, right? That's not really.
I no, absolutely not.
for, for such an avid traveler as you, just a couple of travel tips. Do you have a favorite country? Is it going to be France, or is there something else that you'd put up there?
Well, as someone once told me, if there's any place more beautiful than France, it's Italy.
Okay, okay, I like that. I was going to then ask favorite country for food, but I know Italy is mine for food. Do you have another one?
Well, I guess well, actually, having recently been in Sri Lanka, I know that cuisine is not, to everyone's taste, but it was absolutely fabulous. The different foods that I sampled, spicy, but so many different flavors and so many wonderful vegetable and rice renditions. I also would like to put in a word for, I guess I would like to go back. I found it very magical to be up in the Himalayas, in Nepal and the north of India. And that is something I'd like to do maybe again.
Again, how long did it take you to even get there?
Well, I lived in India for a while, and
Okay,
so I
head
was
start.
fortunate. Yeah, I did.
Because I
Yeah.
hear just to get to Nepal is quite the thing that involves, planes, trains, and oxen and all sorts of things.
Boy, I can remember a voyage in a car along all these precipices and to a place called Almora, which is very north and far north in India. Really magical with these deodar cedar forests and the views of Kachenjunga when it reveals itself. And there just seems to be something in the air there, uh,
Well,
mystical.
with all of these fabulous places you've gone, I can't wait to read the rest of the ongoing Vanished series. But for all of our viewers, French lessons, where our story begins, and our American couple in France get to meet, and then the Vanished series, starting with this first one, a valuable African statue stolen in Southwest France. All the things that you never knew about what's going on politically, socially, and artistically. So you'll definitely want to grab a copy of each of these and stay tuned because there's going to be plenty more. I'm sure our trekker needs a few more 1,000 miles under her belt, and then the next one will be coming. So thank you so much for joining me on this and inviting me along on this journey.
Well, thank you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Can't wait to read the next one. And happy writing.
Thank you.